Oops, that's not the way to do it. You have to do it like that. All right, so once again, everyone, just remembering that the things that you're looking at, what you train your eye to see a couple of different things. And one is the consistency of that up and down motion of the head. And I think that that's fine. I can see that the shoulders are moving up and down. It looks like the butt is moving up and down correctly. You go all the way down to the bottom. The feet are moving correctly. There's a little bend in those back feet. I think that the foot could come up off the ground a little bit, right? See that? You've got the toe kind of dragging along the ground plane. And that's all about your arc of motion. You know, get that arc of motion up off the ground plane. The hands are working okay, but the thing that really kind of needs a little bit of repair is the wobbling. Remember, when I did this, I said head, neck, and body, and then I dragged the head, neck, and body up and down so that they would stay uniform. And even last week, I did that with the run cycle. And remember that when I did it with the run cycle, it was off just a little bit on one frame, so it kind of jiggles just a little bit. But in a run cycle, you can get away with it. Here, it's kind of like Pooh's head is filled with bees. And the bees are like throbbing around inside it. So one thing that you can do to fix it is just kind of redraw the head, neck, and body on a layer underneath or on top or whatever, and then just drag it up and down where it's supposed, copy and paste it, and then just fix it by seeing where the lines are. And you'll see that the lines aren't moving very much. But that's all it takes just to get the lines on the back, especially in the back and front of the head, to wobble around. Other than that, the timing looks good, posture looks good, the pose looks good. Thank you, Elsie.
Thank you.
All right, now on to the run cycle. Actually, let me do this. That's not what I wanted. Okay, Zaley's up first. All right, so again, the analysis is I look at that up and down motion first, and then I look at the other parts and try to look at each little part independently. So it looks like the hands are moving correctly. They're attached to the shoulders a little differently in the up drawing. And at one point, it looks like if I'm just holding my mouse right here, it doesn't look like the arm is moving up and down as much as the body is. But there's something odd about the timing. How many, Zaley, how many frames are in this cycle?
Hold on.
remember I gave everybody an option last week to work with either 12 or 10. It's always an even number.
Yeah, I have 10 drawings.
Okay, so 10 drawings on one should be really fast. My guess is that, are you on 10s on 2s?
Oh, wait, were they supposed to be on ones? Mine are on 2s.
Well, it looks like a run because she's got the movement of the arms, but often it's best to try to keep a fast motion on ones. So everything is, I think that that's what I'm seeing. I'm just seeing that there's 10 drawings on 2s, right? So you have 20 frames cycle. And it just looks like the legs are moving just a little slow. One thing that you could probably do to try to fix it is find the drawing where both legs are in the air, right? And put that on once. And then the next drawing where both legs are in the air, put that on once. So that takes it from 20 frames down to 18. And even just those 2 frames will make a big difference. If it still doesn't look ideal, then hold on one second. Then try the frame that have both feet that are in the air, and then the next one, like this one, where it's the contact position. And then that takes it from 18 down to 16, which is kind of a better timing. So you're gonna have a mix of 1s and 2s, and try it. I mean, even as we're talking right now, you could go in and kind of try it. But it's working pretty good. What I think that you might find more interesting with the hair cycling is that the hair starts out in this like curled up position, and then it goes down. That's fine. But when it's going up here, switch it. When on halfway through the cycle, when the hair is going up, switch it. Switch it to so that this is the smooth part, and that the little curls of hair are pointed downwards like that for this frame and all the way till the top. So probably 3 drawings in a row. And you'll find that it'll flip better. It'll flip better, because right now I think it's working okay. I'm gonna just leave that there for a second. You can see it. You can see my little drawing wanting to hide in there, right? So try the hair going up, and it makes sense because if the hair is going up, then the little curls would be dragging behind the wind. All right, Zalea, everybody. Clap for Zalea, everybody. Oh, my thing is still there. I have to clean it out of there. Hannah Joy. Okay, looks good. And it looks like you have 12 drawings on 2s as well. So what I would recommend is the same exact thing. Take it, those where both feet are in the air, put those drawings on 1s. And even the bird will react with it too, right? Because the bird is on the same duration of cycle. So when the character is in the air, and just try it with those 2 frames, and you could do it like right now, right? And take a look at it and see if that kind of speeds it up a little bit. And if that looks okay, then resubmit that, put that in the class, and then we can come back to it, right? And then if you still want it to be a little quicker, then again, this frame, stop, pause. So it would be this frame, on both sides and that frame on both sides. Just a word for you all. I think the bird is fine, it's working. But the technical thing with birds is that when they flap their wings up, their bodies go down a little bit. When they flap their wings down, their bodies go up a little bit, especially when they're taken off, right? And then when their wings are flapping a little faster, then it's even more evened out. I think you might find that this little bird animation is going to be better with the timing here of going from 20 down to 18, or even from 20 down to 16 frames. Once you've got the thing set, like let's say that you have it set and you're happy with it at 16 frames cycle, then see if you can do the bird on 8s, on 1s, and have it flapping twice. 8 and 8. So it's only an 8-frame flap cycle, but you just copy and paste it twice.
I kind of put the bird on 3s.
You did? What do you think, you're Hayao Miyazaki or something?
I don't know, it kind of looked all right like that. So how would that kind of affect?
Yeah, I think that that's kind of funky, actually. Because if you have 20-frame run cycle, 10 drawings on 2s, then that doesn't factor into 3s. So that means 1 drawing is on 2s. And so see if you can get the bird down to 8 frames and the run cycle to 16 frames, and then copy and paste the bird twice.
Okay.
Also, hummingbirds have a longer beak. Come on, Hannah Joy. No, I'm just teasing. Hannah Joy, everybody. Clapping hands. Okay, looks good. So this is Brianna. What do you have? 10 frames on 2s, or how many frames in your cycle? I can't see the chat. Is she chatting?
She said 12.
Oh, really? 12? So, okay, that's interesting that we're, wait, 12 drawings on 2s? No, 12 drawings on 1s.
Yeah, she says 12 drawings on 1.
Yeah, I think that it's pretty standard to the demo that I did last week. So, you know, I did want to mention one thing, and what I'm going to do here is just kind of give everyone a little bit of pointer, a little bit of heads up. And now that I want, there we go. All right, so one thing to make a walk cycle or a run cycle even better than the way you got it is that this is the ground plane for the near foot. And because there's usually a sense of perspective, you know, so you could draw your grid out, right? Because there's just a little bit of perspective, when you're drawing that away foot, instead of just copying and pasting it from the template that we used, use a slightly higher position for the away foot. And that'll make it better, right? Everyone understand? It's got a little bit of sense of perspective. And that goes for the hand and the wrist position as well. So that if you've got like a hand position that's like this for his right arm, then try making the left arm less. Just imagine that it's in perspective. And you can do this just by saying, when that one extreme hand position reaches it, just don't go as far. and then alter the two drawings that are along with it. And it gives us a better sense of perspective. And that goes for the walk and the run. It just adds a sense of perspective to your drawings. All right, did we clap? We clap? Oh, sorry. Okay, so this looks really good just in terms of performance, in terms of appeal.
I think if you reload, Billy, you might have a newer version of mine because I thought it looked a bit too slow.
Oh, okay. So you put 2 in there?
Yeah.
Did you take the other one down?
Yeah, I can put it back though.
No, that's
If you
okay. I
want.
got it. All right, so that one looks a little faster. So tell us what you did.
I took it from going on 2s to going on 1s.
And how many drawings do you have?
12.
12. All right, so that's really good. So that means you for 1 second of animation, you have 2 steps. Boom, boom, boom. So that's good. I think that you've got, I think it's at the upper end of how cartoony a run cycle can get at this sense of timing. And what I mean by that is that the faster that this character would run, the less up and down motion the head will have. Right? Think about the road runner. His legs are moving so fast, they're just blurs.
Right.
His body is just like this, and it just does an anticipation and he zooms off the screen. So yeah, this is the uppermost that you would want to get for the up and down motion. It looks good. I like the rough lines. I think that what might be kind of fun, let me just take a look at the frames. Stop it. Stop, pause. All right, so in my lectures over the last years or whatever, I've always asked my students not to color in the away leg and the away arm, just because it always looks a little jarring. I think that what you've got is okay just in terms of a little bit of a shadow, a couple of lines to make a shadow. But what might be really fun is to, in order to study this, is to like imagine that he's got color in the head and in the sweater and in his pants and his shoes. And I'm not going to be able to do this completely clearly, but let me just kind of, so let's say that you want to give him like an orange sweatshirt. You know, don't worry about coloring in the thing perfectly, right? Just go in there and kind of color in his sweatshirt so that it almost matches, and then get the away arm in there. It's like one of those artistic things where you don't fill it in all the way. And this would be different there. That would be, this would be the hand. So if that's the hand, then you would just fill it in like this. And you could even use like a little skin tone, whatever kind of color skin tone you want to use, and then pick another one for the trousers. And what'll happen is that, and you can even go outside the line if you want. And what'll happen is that the little lines that you've given it, you know, color in a shape just like that. What this ends up doing is giving it just a little bit of a shading. So try to color it in on a layer behind it. It might look really cool.
Okay.
And also it kind of brings to mind the the story, I'm not sure if I told you all of the idea of strobing and the Oompa Loompas. And the Oompa Loompas were supposed to be jumping up on a trampoline. And as they would get to the top, they would do their little things with the machine. And then they would do their jumping again. And the pencil tests looked great. They looked really good. But as soon as the background got painted like dark gray and all the dials were all these bright colors, and the Oompa Loompas had like purple hair and they had these white jumpsuits on. And the white jumpsuits that were going up and down on ones were strobing like mad. And the only thing we could do is like put motion blur on them. So what you might find is that you're good because you've got these like extra lines in the legs. Like let's pick one, like this one right here. Like these extra lines right here, they're going to end up looking like speed lines, like a motion blur itself. So keep all the lines. It just gives like little blocks of color underneath it. And you might find that it's even better than what you have. All right, looks good. It's good, looks good. And okay. So this one's on 2s. This one's on 1s. Yeah, the 1s looks better. Timmy,
Hello?
hello, how are you? You missed last week.
Yeah, sorry. It's busy
And the
with-
week before, you filthy tick-infested rat bag.
There it is. The catchphrase. I've finally been titled.
All right, and did you watch the lecture or did you just see Run Cycle and go for it?
A little bit of both. I watched your lecture, but the way you drew the body it wasn't really like. There's no offense to you, but there wasn't really like a gesture running pose when you
Right.
did. So I went to look for a gesture running pose.
All right,
and-
Hannah, what's the first thing I'm going to say?
What's the timing on?
Say it again?
The timing or, the frames?
No,
Like how many
the ti-
drawings? I don't
no,
know.
the timing's okay.
Oh,
the-
line of action.
Well, there's one thing that catches your eye first. Zaylee, what is it?
I couldn't tell you.
You can't see it?
Wait, are you talking about when you first look at the head and then to the rest of the?
So the head is going up and down, right? What if I put my cursor right here? Right on the top of the shoulder blade? What's happening?
Staying still.
I'm going to put my cursor right here. And then I'm going to put my cursor right here. The body's not going up and down.
Oh,
Timmy,
oops.
insert expletive here. Yeah, I think that's the first thing that an animator always does. Is you go in there and you get the up and down motion first, whatever it is. If your character's strutting, right? If they're walking really easily, if they're running, you get the head, the neck, and the body to go up and down first. It's the first thing you do. Always, always, always the first thing you do. And then you make sure, if I do one of my lectures that I did when we were doing this in Flash, is that I had the arms actually be puppets. They were actually, 3 pieces, upper arm, lower arm, hand. And I always put the upper arm and the upper leg attached to the body. And so that when I copy and pasted them, all I needed to do was rotate them so that they were always going up and down the same amount of motion. So what happens is your neck is telescoping. See, if her head is going up and down and her body is not going up and down, then the neck is stretching.
I see.
See it? And then there is obviously some squash or some telescoping and some stretching and shrinking that are going on in the legs. But because it's a run cycle, you just can't see it as well. And that's kind of like the reason why run cycles are a little bit more forgiving. But you did the wrong thing by not doing the body and head as one unit. You have to keep them as one unit. So I'm just trying to think there. One way that you could kind of try to fix this is go to frame 1 and redraw the head, the neck, and the body, the butt, just like the volume of the butt, not the upper leg, not the upper quads, and draw them on a separate layer and follow my demonstration about going into the down position, the passing position, the up position, and doing that twice, right? And then, so if I put my cursor like right here, I would say that you've got you got about 1/8 of an inch. There's also something odd happening, and that is that if this is your contact position, technically the right heel is hitting the ground, then the next drawing should be down. Oh, that's right. Okay, so you got that. But the thing is that you don't go up from that position. That's the problem.
Yes.
Go back and look at my lecture. The demo would be like this. Come on, Zoom, wake up. So if I use the top of her head as reference, then what we're going to have is a sine wave that looks like this. And that would be like in real life, where she would be moving along the ground plane about this fast. When she's walking and running in place, this sine wave gets compressed to just the up and down motion like this. But what you have is just this. You don't break. If this is the contact position right here, then she needs to go down, and then there's a drawing here, and then there's a passing drawing, and then the up position. So you have this, and it's reading, but it'll read better if you do the up position. So now that I've drawn that and explained that, see if you can notice it.
You ruined it for me, Billy. Now I do notice it.
Yeah, but so I think you can fix it easily just by copying and pasting the head and body and neck and getting the up and down, and then put the arms and legs in the right position. Because you're gonna have to fix the shoulders a little bit, because they have to go up and down too.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Okay.
So
Thank you, Billy.
that'll move it into more of a better quality run. All right, thank you, Timmy. Jeanette?
I think I'm gonna have the same problem because when I traced it over, I think I ruined the up and down.
You ruined it?
So
Well, I think that when I'm looking at this, I think the timing looks good. In my playbook, I think that there is a couple of things that you could do to improve it. But I think the shoulders and the neck are working okay. Get Zoom to wake up here for me in just a second. Come on, Zoom. Zoom. God. So I think that this part's working okay. You know, you've got a nice up and down position, and the shoulders are coming along with it, but the hip is not. The hip is just kind of stuck right there. So you could try to find once again, just the the up position and get that to raise a little bit. I think that all you might have to do is just kind of raise the hip line a little bit. And then I think that'll be fine. That's an easy fix. The other thing that you might want to do is try to just do it all over again and see if you can get the near the leg that is in the forwards position to kick out a little more. Because once I clear that, she just looks a little cramped. Just a little bit. Other than that, that's just what I'm seeing. The timing looks good. And the positioning looks good. All right, thank you, Jeanette.
Right down to 6. Thank you.
Yay. Oh, hold on. Randy.
Yep.
Randy.
Yes.
Randy. You know, even before I play this, it's going to be funky because you've got green and blue, really high visibility colors that are going to be moving really fast. And you're going to see strobing. I can just tell just by looking at it. So you see where it's flashing?
Yeah.
And what do you've got? You've got 10 drawings on 2s, 12 drawings on 2s.
Yeah, I think it was 12.
You know, I think
Wait.
it's working pretty good. This again, this is the uppermost up and down motion. This is the most up and down motion that you would want to get in a run, the timing for a run. And any amount of speed up that you put, if he's going to run a little faster, you would want to really kill the up and down motion of the head. But it looks okay. I would probably go back in here and change the colors a little bit. Change the, do one or the other. Just use shades of blue or shades of green for everything. And so in order to get it to read, if you were going to use the same, if you're going to use the same blue, it almost makes sense to use the blue for the near leg and then a lighter blue, just a little bit lighter blue for the away leg, the left leg and the left arm. And then just keep the body some middle blue as well, even more pushing towards purple or something like that. But right now it's like too highly chromatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that that's an easy fix. But see what I mean about the strobing right here? Oh, I realized that the Zoom replay isn't always on the line. So, but this character's right arm is strobing right there. And also you might want to check your measurements. Yeah, I think that when the hand is right here, when this arm is right here, it looks normal, right? Are you listening?
Yeah.
So, and then as you go through this arm looks okay. But then this one, and especially this one and this one, they're too extended. So at speed, it looks like the hand is growing when it comes out into the front position, especially the green one, not so much with the red one, but especially the green one. All right, thank you, Randy. Clap for Randy, everybody. Rachel. Okay, it looks okay. You know, I'm looking at the shoulders. There's one kind of odd thing that sometimes happens in animation, and that is that right arm, the right elbow and the left elbow and the right knee and the left knee, they both reach their extreme at the exact same position and space. And so when you do that, they're kind of falling on top of each other. And I think in order to get a sense of intermediate to advanced craftsmanship, just try to get the lines to, especially the left leg and the left arm, to just be in their own space when they reach those forwards positions. You do have a little bit of throbbing going on in the head. So again, I think you don't have that when you're copying and pasting your initial test of the head, neck, and body. You're running a little bit straight up and down, which is fine. You can do that. Not everyone has to run with a forward slant. In fact, there was an Olympic athlete, Michael Johnson, who ran backwards. Anyone ever remember seeing footage of Michael Johnson? He was a really great athlete, and he would lean backwards and he would get the front. So you see that like the front extension comes out to about right here. Well, Michael's extension was 10-15% further out in front of him, and he was a award-winning athlete too. All right, this is Randy. Hands for Randy. Okay, this looks good. It's a little slow. What do you have? 12 drawings on 2s?
I actually have 8 drawings on 3s.
6 drawings on 3s?
No, 8.
8 drawings on 3s. So you have 18 frames. Did you try the 8 drawings on 2s?
Yeah, I thought it was fast, but yeah, I mean, I can.
Well, I think that just like our first 2 critiques, what you might find is that it's going to be a better sense of timing if you get the. You said it's on 3s.
Yeah.
If you get like even this frame and take it to 2s, and this stuff leave it on 3s, but then on this frame that put out on 2s, and this frame on 2s, and then the very last frame, that one on 2s, and that, yeah, and that'll speed it up a little bit. So if you have a total of, what'd you say, 8 drawings on 3s?
Yeah.
So you have a total of 24. If you take those 2 frames on each side and drag those to 2s, it'll speed it up a little bit. I think that it's an anime kind of thing to try to do runs on 3s. You see it in Miyazaki and in anime stuff all the time, where a character will be running off into the distance and their legs will just go like this on 3s, even like this timing, and they'll go away from the camera. They'll just go like this. And it's a form of limited animation. The drawings look good. The animation looks good, but I think you just need to tweak the timing just a little bit. All right, hands for Evelyn, everybody. All right, did I miss anybody? Okay, let me put these into this folder.
I resubmitted the other one with a different timing.
You did? Okay. Hopefully you renamed it, yes?
Yeah, it's got B at the end, like the letter B.
Is it already done? Okay. So you took the other one down?
No, I left it up there. So the one that doesn't have a letter B in it is the original.
How come I can't see it? Why wouldn't I be able to see 2 of them?
I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with the date.
Yeah, I think it looks okay. I'm studying it for you.
I thought it wasn't as smooth because I took the two like the one where he just strikes plus the one that's just before it, and I put them down to ones. It
Right.
seems like it kind of skips over really quick.
No, I think the timing is better. I'm just kind of seeing like it's almost like what they call a double bounce. Let me take the loop off here. I want to see this just play. Yeah, I think what you have is a double bounce. So what that means is that when your character is, again, we're just going to take the top of the head, and I'm going to draw really small this time because the bird is in the way. Your bird is in the way, Hannah. Actually, I'm going to draw it over here.
Yeah.
And so when we plan out a walk cycle or a run cycle, my command to you as an instructor to learners is to always use the pipeline that I give you for the first couple of times you try it. And then you're kind of welcome to play around with it on your own. In the run cycle, we start with the contact position, and then we immediately go into the down position. And then in the run cycle, our timing was that there was 2 drawings between the contact and the full up position. And some animators don't like putting both of or one of those drawings. Sorry, Hannah.
It's okay. Yeah, I spent a bit of time writing it down, and I wasn't really sure if I was doing it right. But yeah, I have like 2 downs and 2 ups in the frame of the 12. The 12 steps.
So what this is the contact, the down, and then there's 2 passings, and then the up, right? And then if you copy the other part of the cycle, and you start with contact, down, passing, and up, and you do the same repetitive thing, but you trade out the left arm and the right leg, right? And this is a total of 10 drawings right here. And so this would be a total of 20 frames on 2s, but sometimes this looks good on 1s. And what we find though is that, especially in a presentation day like today, that sometimes this is too slow. And so you take either this drawing and the up drawing, and you put those on 1s, and it reduces this by a total of 4 frames. So you got 16 frames, and it speeds it up. But I believe what's happening is that you have what's called a double bounce. And within the same number of frames, now how many frames do you have total in this presentation?
Let me check. So now I'm at 20 frames.
20 frames. So my intuition is that, see,
I think
you've
I was
got
on 12s. 12s on 2.
12s on, so you have 24.
Yeah, I think so originally. That might be where I went wrong.
But okay, so my intuition is that when you look at this cycle here, this little sine wave, contact down, passing up, contact down, passing up. I believe what you have is this. So instead of 2 down positions, you have 4. Instead of 2 up positions, you have 4. And then your arms and your legs are moving correctly as they would be from my demo on 12 drawings, you know, swinging back and forth. So they're moving correctly, but my intuition is that you have your head and body going up and down 4 times instead of 2 times. Here, let me
Might even be 3.
I'm gonna find out where you live and I'm gonna dress like you and follow you around. So like I'm gonna put my cursor right here and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So I'm just looking at the ears, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And when I'm doing that, I look at his feet. And remember, sometimes in animation, that little song in your head is the timing. So look at his head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then do his feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So the head is it's moving double.
Yeah, when I was looking at it, I was like, there's something wrong with the up and down, but I couldn't work out what it was.
You did the up and down positions twice. Even do it with yourself right now. It's like, I'll put my cursor right here at the ear and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and his feet 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's so, because of the way you drew this and you produced it, there's no way to technically fix this. You just have to know that what you did is you put the body on 4 sine waves and the feet and the arms are operating on 2. It's kind of like, how'd you do that? And in a double bounce, it's like, you know, I just won the lottery. And you do that instead of in like, if you're doing the walk cycle for a double bounce, and all of a sudden, this part of the lecture is going to go into an advanced state right now, but that's okay. Because I think that you can understand this. So, and this is for the walk
I
cycle.
get it now.
So in a typical walk cycle, you know, we always go contact down, passing up, contact down, passing up, like that. And so, and for just a regular walk cycle, this is drawing number 1, and then this is drawing 17. This is drawing number 9. This is drawing 5. The up position is 13, right? And then we do this out here on 4. So this is 21, and this is 25, and then this is 29. And that's just a typical walk cycle. And the timing is different and the arc is different for a run cycle. But in a double bounce, what ends up happening is you do this. So that you have twice as many up positions and twice as many down positions that are really drawn over the same arc. And that's called a double bounce. And so what you have is that your numbers are just a little different. You have drawing number 1, and you said that you had a total of 12 drawings?
Yeah.
A total of 12 drawings. So for your run cycle, this would be drawing number.
Yeah, I kind of got it like 4 and 5 is on the up, and 2 and 3 are kind of near the down, and then 8 is down, and then the 10 and 11 are up-ish. And then it loops.
Well, if you have,
Well,
I'm not exactly sure what you did, but for your run cycle is following along these kind of beats. And I'm not sure exactly what your numbers are because I can't see your project file. But that's what's happening. So you can probably just, so you're missing this one, you're missing this one, and you're missing this one and that one that are atypical of a double bounce, right? But because you've got neutral, down, up, neutral, down, up, down, that you've got the double bounce. So I'm going to erase this. So just once again. And because his head, neck, and body are moving consistently, that's the thing that you see. That's the error, is that his head, neck, and body are moving up and down twice as many times as his feet and legs are moving around underneath him. All right, hands for Hannah, everybody. And again, just because of the way you drew this, there's no way to fix it. You just kind of leave it there and make a note, even rename it, you know, double bounce run or DB run, and make a note for yourself and try to just do the whole thing over. It didn't take you very long, right? You could start with the same keyframe, the same number 1 keyframe, and see if you can you can make it better just by redoing it. All right, anybody else upload? Anybody else? Okay. It looks good just from the first loop. Yeah, I think the overlapping action on the hair is okay. Legs are good. You've got this weird little crick in the arm though, Evelyn. Like the arm goes back and straight, and then it kicks forward. When I call it a crick, I think it's definitely a crick. I think that you would just want to go in there and even that out, make it smooth. Other than that, it looks pretty good. Well, I see one other thing. Let me study this for just a moment. Something caught my eye. I want to see what it was. Yeah, I think that, do you have your file open in front of you?
I can open it, I guess.
Because I think that what I see is that, and I think I complained about this last week, is that in a traditional walk cycle, you always want to start with the contact position. You always want to start here, because that's how you set your oscillation. That's how you set your timing. Contact down, passing up. You have the passing position. Remember we talked about this last week?
Yeah.
And then what happens is that this is on 2s and it moves forward. And it's not the most impossible thing to do, but the problem is that it goes through the other passing position, which is correct. And then it goes to the contact. And then it goes to the almost passing position here. But then when it loops to the beginning, it's just a little different. And that's, I think that you have one too many frames. So when you're playing it, see how it like stops right there, stops right there.
Mhm.
There's like 2 frames that are really, 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 really close to each other. So what might work for you is if you delete the last frame. Other than that, it looks pretty good. Okay, Evelyn, everybody? Okay. I am going to, I should have done this when we were on break, but that's okay. This is my Kenyatta folder. That's the walk. I'm going to put this in there. And my hard drive has to wake up before it'll transfer. Come on, wake up. There we go. And I'm going to put the run in this folder. And I'm going to send all this to Paul. This is everything from our class. It's crazy. And each one of these has like tons of stuff in it. Oh my God. He could have a spring show just for us in this class. Yay. All right, so we are about to take turn our adventure. We have a couple more weeks in the class here. And originally what I thought what we were going to do is like, just kind of like the timing for animation book. And that is the idea of doing a different project every week, not to overwhelm you or anything. And I had it listed here that we were going to do a flour sack drop. And then the next week after that, we would do character designs, thumbnails, boards for a run, a jump, and a catch, which would be for your final. But instead, I think I'm going to tweak this just a little bit. And what I thought we would do is a head turn and a reaction, which is called a take in animation. It's actually a really fun thing to do. It can be a little ominous because the way you produce this kind of test is that you do a headshot, kind of like we're doing here in our Zoom class. So when we're doing the head turn and a reaction, your character should just be kind of belly button up. And it just takes a little bit more prowess in drawing, but that's okay. All right, so having said that, I am going to the dynamics. And ours is going to be just a little different. Ours is going to be just a little different. Well, there's our run cycle, everybody. All right. All right, so what we're going to need here is just kind of a layout, a blueprint, a series of thumbnails about what's going to happen. So we can either do this just on a separate piece of paper, or I can just use this my first frame here to just kind of figure out what we're going to do. So a lot of the things that we've been doing so far in this class have just been cycling, but this is going to be something that just plays once. It's more cinematic that way. So remember what we're going to do is we're going to think about our focal points. We're going to think about the center focal point. We're going to think about our action and our title safe areas, so that when we get into our production here, I want the character to be either off to the right or off to the left a little bit. So I'm just going to place the character near the left focal point. Let's get the line of action in there. I'm going to give him his torso, give him deltoids and arms. You know, and at this point, I think you can kind of take a jump up from just the generic character into something a little bit more cartoony. All right, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, so I think this is okay. The character is just kind of in a neutral position. He's not really doing very much. He's just kind of looking around. There's not a lot of animation here. The one thing that I want to consider though is that I want him looking this way in the next shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it. I'm going to move it over. So we're kind of doing thumbnails, right? And for this one, I'm just going to tweak this a little bit. So I'm going to kind of erase his head. And I'm gonna put him looking to the left here. All right, so again, we're just kind of thumbing this out. I'm gonna paste this again. I'm gonna move it over for a third position. And for this one, I'm going to kind of just go to a darker color, and I'm gonna just have him lean forward. So I'm going to have him just lean forward just a little bit. So right over the top of this, I'm just gonna have him lean forward. So I'm putting the head forward, and I'm leaning the line of action forward. And then I'm gonna take my eraser and just kind of get rid of the original position. Go back to my brush. So one thing that you can explore here is how far he comes into camera. You just saw in The Cat Came Back that old Mr. Johnson comes really far into the camera. You can try that too. You can have him lean forward. You can have him bring his arm up a little bit. You can start to see his elbow. So he's leaning forward. So he was looking from to the left, and he's going to turn his head into this position, and he's going to look here, and then he's going to do a take. And I'm just going to put this one right here. So right over the top of this one, and in a different color, this is how a take is done. So he's looking to this position here, and actually he's leaned forward a little bit more. So I can just kind of rub this down a little bit so that I get the registration correct. And I'm going to get this forward lean position. I'm just going to draw it very lightly because we've already got it here. We've already got him looking over here. And we're going to just add a couple of things to this. So for what we want to do here is we're going to add an arc of motion, a true arc of motion from the top of his head. And we're going to get it, that forward leaning body, get the elbow up like this. And I'm realizing that there was one particular document that I had on my other hard drive, but I don't know where it is. Because let me see if I can find it really quickly. Again, this is the textbook that I had recommended for this class. Yeah, and I've never really found it online. So let me go back to this. So what he's doing is he's looking to his right, and then he looks to the left, his left, and then he leans forward, and then he's going to he's looking at something. And then he's going to do a reaction. And here's the basic dynamics of a animated take. This is the neutral position here. And what your next drawing is going to be, I'm just going to do this right over the top of it, is a squash drawing. And so the squash drawing is the head still stays on this line of action here, this arc of motion, but it just squashes. It's like you turn the football sideways. When you do this, the counteraction is that the elbows actually come up. And now you see his side here, his whole body can squash. This arm can come up and go the other way. There was the thing that I was looking for is that there was a little demonstration of a character who's just sitting in a neutral position. He undergoes his squash like this, and his hands like go all the way up above his head as he's squashing. And then as he goes into his stretch position, he goes backwards and his head is stretched, his body is stretched, and then his hands go all the way down. And this is like the craziest, cartooniest type of reaction. This is like a Tex Avery here. What we're gonna do is just more of a Chuck Jones kind of style. All right, so, and when you're in the squash position, your eyes are always closed. Your eyes are always blinking. So I'm just gonna indicate that just on my rough, just with those little arrows like you would see in the South Park animation. They always do little two arrows pointed at each other. You're welcome to figure out whatever kind of blink that you would like. I'm gonna make his ears stretch. I'm gonna make his whole body stretch. You could even make his arms even a little thicker at this point. And then in blue, right over the top of this, the dynamic is that we're going to go to a stretch position. So this is the stretch. And in the stretch position, the eyes come open wide and the body narrows. So the body is now in a stretch position as well. The arms come straight down like this. And you can overshoot this position here a little bit if you want. You can overshoot the position by letting his hair even go off the screen. You can open up his mouth and go, what? And then we're going to return to a normal neutral position that is like right in the middle of all of this. All right, so this looks really messy. This looks really messy. And if you're playing along with it, if you're following along with it, that's the basic dynamics. That's my layer one, which I'm just going to call my layout. And we're going to just leave that there. The background is going to be just a straight line, just about the cinematic third. And we're going to take this out. Hold on a second. That's okay. I'm just going to leave it there. All right, so we're going to add a layer. This is going to be our character, just C. All right, I'm going to use a blue. I'm going to take the layout down to just about nothing, and we're going to turn it off here in just a minute so we can go back to it. So basically, what I want to do is I want to just mimic that layout right there. So I'm just going to get my character, and I'm going to just get my head. So I'm looking at the left focal point. One thing that you can kind of do is just kind of realize that in him looking to his right, our left, that he might be leaning that way too. So I'm going to start out with just the top of his torso, the bean. This is the line of action, so that means that the medial line, the line that would be the buttons on his shirt, would be somewhere like this. This is his deltoid. So his arm can just kind of be in a neutral position. This arm can just be in a neutral position too. Change that just a little bit. All right, so I've got his waist being about right there. This arm is just kind of off. He's got a collar, it would be right here. Midline for his face. So his eyes are going to be about right here. I'm going to give him a big nose. I'm just kind of drawing a generic character here. Give him some pupils. All right, anything that you would like to do works. All right, so that's our first frame. We're going to take this and we're going to hold this. We're going to hold it for at least 16 frames. That's 2 beats. You could hold it for longer. You could hold it for a full second. And I'm going to take the timeline zoom down. And we're going to add a drawing after this. And we're going to, so our onion skin is on, we can see it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have him hit that position that we had in the second frame over here. So when I draw here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on my layout position, on the, so I brought this back so I can see the drawing where I was at. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an arc like this on the layout. And what this is that all head turns happen on an arc. So he's not just going to rotate his head like this. He's going to turn his head. He's going to dip his chin. So you could make this as exaggerated as you would like. And bring the top of the head down too. So just give yourself a nice arc right there. All right, so then I'm going to go back to this frame here. And we're just going to put in the position that was in that second key that we had. And the line of action, his neck, his torso. This arm is, so it's just a kind of a counter position to where he was. This is the midline. I'm going to try to keep him looking like the same kind of character. All right, so now what we need to do is we're going to go do a breakdown position, a true breakdown position. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a drawing after this. And we're going to bring this down to just probably 4 frames or so. And so this is my empty drawing. And so in this empty drawing right now, we're going to, now this is going to just be as low as we get. So this is just turning on the arc. So make sure that the chin drops below the position where you were here for this key position and this key position for the chin. When you're doing the breakdown position, it's got to drop. And that means the whole head has to drop. This is just the turn. This is not the squash per se. So the in-between here, if this is the medial position is 3/4 left and this is 3/4 right, you could, in fact, if you wanted, make this a straight medial line right here. But in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to favor the right side position just a little bit. And in order to make sure that this reads as a head turn, I'm going to have him blink right here. So I'm just going to suggest the blink. I'm going to watch his nose for the arc. I'm going to make sure that the nose comes down. I'm going to make sure that the ear kind of goes up so that it reads as counteraction. And then get that little part of his head in there. All right, and then for the body, I can see that his one position was there and another position is over here. So I'm going to give him kind of like a little compound curve. He's going from one state to the other, but this arm is becoming visible. The other arm is kind of going away. All right, and then we're just gonna see what this looks like when we toggle through it. So that looks okay. And we're on, that in between is on 4s. That breakdown is on 4s right there. All right, so we're gonna give him his pupils back. He's not quite 3/4, but that's okay. All right, so the next thing that I want to do here is, well, this is already being held. So this drawing here is being held for a total of almost 2 beats. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit, just something like that. And the reason for this is because I don't want the lead in pause to be the same pause here. I don't want the timing to be identical. All right, so I'm going to add a drawing after. And I'm going to bring this one down just to 4s to start with. 4 frames to start with. So in this drawing here, I think that what I would like to do is actually take this drawing here and copy it. And I'm not technically cheating here per se, but what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of rotate it a little bit. I'm going to take the position down to the waist, like where the pelvis would be. I'm going to just rotate it just a little bit forward, just to give it a little bit of a cheat there. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring his arm backwards just a little bit. And remember that what I'm doing right now is animating straight ahead. So that principle of animation that we talked about on day 1, this is the act of animating straight ahead. All right. All right, so let's see what we've got, how this looks. All right, so I think his turn is happening too fast. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this up to 8s, and we're gonna look at it again. I think that's okay. I think that we would need a drawing in between each one of these. So this is the first key, this is the breakdown, this is the second key, but I think that we would need a drawing between each one of these. And the timing is looking okay. All right, so now that we've got him looking this way in this position, this is our rotated drawing. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a drawing after, and we're still on 4s. And so I'm going to just bring this up a little bit. And what I want to do is I want to have him advance even further. We're going to do a little bit of acting here. So I'm bringing the whole drawing forward, the line of action, his neck, his body is coming forward. This could be counteraction. So his arm is balancing by going up and backwards just a little bit. All right, and at this, we're going to draw the medial line. We're going to draw his near eye, his nose, his other eye, get that horizontal medial line, is bring his ear forward, bring his hair forward. Remember, you can go backwards and just figure out where the back of his head is in this drawing, and then go forward so that it actually advances. This part is on the other side. All right, so so then in this drawing here, what I want him to do is like squint. I want him to bring the lower lid and the upper lid together, and he's just kind of like squint. And we can go backwards here and play with the eyebrows. So we start with this drawing here, and we're just going to give him like neutral eyebrows. The thing that you want to play with here is that whenever you're drawing eyebrows for a character, always kind of think of the Halloween mask that you might buy at the dime store, and that you've got just the eye, the mask like that. And so that when you're drawing the eyebrows, they just live together on the top of that mask. Okay, so on this one, the eyebrows are going to come down on this key. They're going to come back neutral again. So think of that mask. Remember your perspective. On this key, they're going to just advance. And on this key, they're going to rise. And so the mask is going to be really high on his face. Now, some cartoonists like to, if it's going to be, they could get rid of this little dip right here, and they could just make the mask like this. In the Warner Brothers day, when we do our take, we can draw the eyebrows even way off the top of the head. So I'm going to bring the eyebrows like this. He's squinting, and then I'm going to change my mind because he's squinting here. I'm going to change my mind and bring the eyebrows down. And we're allowed to do that. I'm allowed to change my mind. All right, so the eyebrows are in the telltale squint. He's going to give a little furrowed brow right there. Medial line, arm coming forward, elbow going backwards. We're on 4s. And now this drawing, I think we want to hold this one. So I'm going to take this one out to 16 frames just for a emphasis. All right, so let's take a look and see what we've got. Good, okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a frame after this. And I'm gonna bring this down to 4s. All right, so this becomes a critical drawing here. You have to realize that right here is the bit of acting. This is where he's thinking. He's just taken his head and turned and looked at something. And this 4 frames, we might want to adjust it. But in this drawing right here, he's thinking. And that 16 frames is only 2 beats. So we'll have to consider making this a little longer. But in this frame right here is where we're going to draw our reaction. So this is the squash drawing. The squash drawing for us is actually an anticipation drawing. So I'm just going to write anticipation right here, or antissa. And I'm going to bring the arc of the head forward. And I'm going to bring the chin down as much as I can get it. And I'm going to see the oval turn into more of a circle. And I'm playing right now by looking at this medial line that goes down the middle of the face, coming down to about right here. And I'm just getting that head as much squash as I would need. So this is a really big cartoon take. The top of his head used to be right here. Now it's here. So that means the eye line is right here and the nose is over here. And whenever you do an anticipation or a squash drawing, the eyes are always, always, always closed. So we're just gonna do that same little arrows pointing at each other just for right now. The mouth can be squashed as well. The ear can be squashed. Now the counteraction is that his body becomes squashed. So bring the shoulders down, bring the body as far out as you can get it. Just as far out as you can get it. Just start there and just feel what your pen is going to do and just keep exaggerating that squash just for the body. You know, let it just go all the way. Go backwards a drawing, go forwards a drawing. See how much you can afford to play with that squash. This right here would be the medial line. These are the buttons on his shirt. This is his collar here. So he's squashing. That's good right there. Now this is true counteraction when the body, the head's going down, the body is going out, the head is going down, and then the arms are going to go as far up as possible. This is true counteraction. All right, so this is the seam of his shoulders. And the other arm can come up too. So we didn't really see it in this drawing here. So we can just get it to dangle a little bit. This is the edge of his body. This is his arm. So what you can do, So what you can do is play with elements that are like his elbow. So in this drawing, if the elbow was here, then it's going to break this way. So get the arc of the elbow up and let the arm come up. Just kind of like this. So I'm just going backwards, forwards. And remember that this is a medium take. This is not as cartoony as it could possibly be. All right, so we're going to add a drawing after this. And it's good that we have our onion skin on. So now we're going to go all the way past. This is our stretch drawing, or the overshoot. And here we want to stay on the arc of motion that we've created. And we're just going to take that same balloon that is his head, and we're going to stretch it as much as we possibly can. So I'm stretching it, I'm stretching it. I'm kind of looking at where it came from, and I'm stretching it, and I get my line of action, and all of a sudden the medial line is here and his eyes are wide open. And you can just play with his eyes. You can put his eyes off his head this time. His nose is stretched. His pupils are really small. You know, if you put them together, that kind of makes him crazy, but that's okay. You know, and then here you can give him his unbelievable mouth, and then you could take his ears and stretch his ears. And then his hair can completely and totally augment this stretched position. Give him his little neck and let his body be stretched as well. So this is really stretched. I'm going to give him a little bit more volume. I'm going to give him some meat back. And his arms are now straight down. And here you can play with just absolutely straight lines. So this is his belly. And get this arm to read just by that. And then let this arm be here and let this be his back. So if we go back, and so now what I want to do is I want to move this up a little bit, come back out. And what we're going to do now is we're going to follow this belt line through our keys. So he's just leaning forward. On this key, he's still leaning forward. On this one, it's leaning forward. But on this one, this is our squash drawing. And so it should technically be going down just a little bit. And now we can kind of fill out the extra part of the squash on this drawing. This is the palm of his hand. These are just the suggestions for his fingers. This is the palm of his hand and the suggestion for his fingers. All right, and then in this keyframe, the waist is going to be really far down here. This arm is going to be completely off the screen. This arm can just be completely off the screen. And there's a strange little bend to this. It could be straight. It doesn't have to be curved like this. We've got like this line of action kind of overriding the pose. And I'm going to change it just a little bit so that it's more of a bunch of straight lines. Chin. All right, and so this drawing here is on for 4, but we're gonna play with this for just a moment. We're gonna add another drawing after this, and we're gonna turn our onion skin on, and let's see if we can get the initial drawing back in there. So I'm not seeing it. because it's too far along down the timeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this original pose right here, and I'm going to copy it. Oh, I don't want that one. I mean, I want this one. Yeah, I want this pose right here. I'm just going to copy it. And I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm just going to kind of obliterate it. I want to rub it down. I just want to hint at where we were. I don't want to go back to the same pose at all. I'm just going to kind of kill him, rubbing it down. I'm just kind of, that's where he was. And so what this does is it makes sure that he's not going to change character or volumes too much. But I think that what I'd like you to do is just take a look at what we've got for the animation now. Got that reaction. Okay. So we end on this. So this is where we want to be. And I'm going to turn my onion skin down just a little bit. Okay, so right now what I want to do is remember that he started out here. He's just, he's turning, he's looking, and he's thinking about something, and he's thinking about it, and then he reacts, and he stretches, and then now there's a change of expression. So I don't want to end on that same thing. Now he's a little bit more wide-eyed. His eyes are bigger. His nose is kind of maybe still in the same place, but now he's kind of like, what? His mouth is kind of hanging open. His ears kind of maybe in the same place. Maybe his hair is a little bit messed up. So you can tangle his hair a little bit. And the eyebrows can be here. And that one could be like off the side of his head, right here. And you can keep the same body kind of thing. What happens now is that we go back a key, his arms were really straight. So if we wanted to hint at the elbow, we could draw a little crease in his shirt so that when we get out here, we can hint at that little crease. All right, and so what you also might want to do is have him maybe lean backwards just a little bit. It's completely up to you. There's lots of little acting moments that go on in here. All right, and maybe we don't see that other arm at all. All right, so now let's go backwards and just look at where we have the eyebrows. So the eyebrows are kind of following our little mask. We're going to tie down these eyes just a little bit. We're going to go to the next frame. And here they're straight lines, they're squinting. Get the shape of his forehead, his ears, hair, chin. In this keyframe. All right, so now let's get the hair to squash as well. So try not to go above this point. So get that hair to squash. The eyebrows are following the squint. All right, the next is the stretch. And in this one, if we're careful enough about it, our eyes are here. We can put this eyebrow way like this. And this one way out the top of his head. All right, and then in the last drawing, the eyebrows have come all the way back down. So let's take a look at what we've got. All right, so I think this needs more frames here. So I'm going to take this out to 24. And let's look at it again. Whenever you do any kind of adjustment on the timing like that, you should always just look at, see what you've done. All right, so looks good. Let me look at one more time. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to make a plea, a ploy for all of you, is that if you're following along, and the next thing that I want you to do is just kind of always go back through your keys and say, the thing that you can do here is just, especially with rough animators now, just use your arrow keys to go key to key, right? And that actually adds a frame for us. Go back to the beginning and follow one part at a time. Like just follow the neck, for instance. And so key, where is his neck here? He's turning, his neck is kind of straight towards us. This was that breakdown where we're gonna need a drawing here, a new drawing here and a new drawing here. We put the mouth in there, the neck. There's his neck, there's his collar. So follow his collar forward, squashing and stretching. You could even stretch the collar, right? And then bring this back up, this collar back up, and I went to our blank frame. So let's do the same thing with like his ear. Let's pick his ear here. We want to keep everything consistent. Maybe get to the stretch part, we can definitely play with the shape of that inner ear. This stretch could be much more exaggerated. So here the ear can be like that. And this ear is probably a little small from where it started, but that's okay. Just doing our rough. All right, so then just take a look at it at speed. All right, so this frame here goes away just a little too fast. What we can do is we got our clipboard, we can paste that last frame, which is the one where he was in the neutral position here, and do the same exact thing here, where we're just gonna rub it down a little bit. Just so that we know we're not gonna get into too much position trouble. All right, and then get our pencil back. And what has he gone? What is he thinking about? He has turned his head, squinted at something, reacted, he's surprised, but now we want his eyebrows to just be kind of not surprised, but just more like a medium dismayed kind of thing. And there can still be a little bit drift backwards. And so with this whole thing, I can take this and just kind of drift it backwards a little bit. I could rotate it just a little bit backwards. And change his mouth to just maybe a little bit more closed. Bring his pupils more towards the middle, where here they were in the middle of his nose, like crazy. And now they're just kind of, so now I want to be careful here, because remember what we were doing is that this is a really good example of that pupil dying right there. So I'm going to fix this pupil right there before we do anything else. I don't want that pupil to die. So backwards and here. So I'm going to make that pupil right here. Backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. So that's a little better. I'm going to brighten it up a little bit too. I'm going to dilate it just a little bit more. Bring his ear backwards, his hair backwards, just a little bit more. And remember, his hair was like a little messy now. Collar, bring that back a little bit more. You could probably relax his arm just a little bit more, so that his body is going backwards just a little bit, but this arm is going forwards and the left arm is going backwards just a little bit. Now for this one, we want this to come out to about 32 frames, something like that. All right, let's take this down to a couple of frames. All right, let's see what we've got. Beginning of the shot. Okay, so I think that this pose here could even be longer. This, we got it on right now for 24 frames. And so look at the duration of your keys. This is on for 24. This is on for 19. It should be more like 18. Yeah, even numbers means odd number of drawings. So let's take this one up to like 30 or 27. And then this one is on for 32. So let's see what that timing looks like. So what I'm saying is that the duration of these main keys should always be a different time, a different set of timing. And the reason for that is because you don't want everything to go like railroad tracks. Chop, 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 chop. You want it to be more organic, more natural. So when you're looking at these frames, 24, 18, 27, and 32, those are different enough for our initial test. All right, so let's take a look at these elbows here. Now, I think what I want to do is give him like a medium length sleeve so that in this frame we can see it. We're at 125. Let's go to 100. So we can see it here. And then in this frame, we can see it coming back. We can see that little cuff coming back. And then in this, we're going to give him a little bit of an arm on the left side so we can see that cuff. I'm going to clean this line up a little bit. All right, we're kind of doing the same thing by just going back and looking at parts and making sure that we're animating everything straight ahead, but we're just doing one piece at a time so that we don't lose track of anything. That's kind of the beauty about doing it in 2D. If you had to do this in stop motion animation, you'd have to do all of this at once, straight ahead. All right, so right now what we've got is we've got a total of 125 frames, right? So that's just about 5 seconds. Let's take a look at this again here. All right, so that looks pretty good. I think that in the terms of animation, going from this position, leaning even farther forward, just a little bit more forward, keeping it alive, or even just taking this drawing and in-betweening the hell out of it into this one so that his eyes are squinting really slowly would be kind of nice. But the overall timing is starting to look okay. The overall timing is starting to look okay. All right, let's one more time. Yeah, I think that this is your lean right here, but let's do this first. Let's go in here and add a drawing after. And this drawing here was the middle drawing. So this drawing here needs to be in between. This is only going to be on for 2 frames. All right, and then with our onion skin on, and remember we could kill this layout now. All right, so just remember where you are. This is the middle drawing. This is the drawing that we're doing right now, so there's nothing there. And then this is the drawing we're going to. So just block in the form first. So just block in the The chin is rising at this point. It's coming up off the arc. So just get the form to work first. Get the head, even the medial line. He's going from the blink. Maybe his eyes are, you can favor the blink in this position here, which will make his eyes pop open. So if you tried to do an in-between where his eyes were only half open, it might look a little goofy because his eyes would open just more slowly. But if you leave the eyes closed in this in-between, his eyes will pop open. So you can get it to read like that. So there's a correct assumption, is to keep the chin rising, keep the top of the head rising, and then just do your in-betweens. He's moving forwards. Line of action. Backwards, forwards. So you get these line arms in the right place. Get his hair in there. Eyebrows. Backwards, forwards. Backwards, forwards. This drawing needs a better mouth. Better chin. Backwards, forwards. All right, so that one's blocked in. So this position here is blocked in. Now we need one that's between this and this. So remember, when we do this, it's gonna give us a crazy in-between drawing here. We have to take this down just to 2 frames. Now, when I'm doing this on 2s, the reason why I'm doing this on 2s is because I'm going to be able to see it better. All right, so now, and we'll be able to adjust the timing here in just a moment. All right, so now his head is going down. So the arc of motion is here, his head is going down. The volume is here. So I'm looking at the back of his head here in this drawing and here, so that the in-between is right there. And this one, he's almost looking at the camera. And so this one, I'm going to favor the other position. I'm going to favor him looking to the left. And I'm also going to favor his eyes being open. And now I just noticed that just by the way we drew that, if I drew this, that the eye would be in a very strange place. It would look like the eye is strobing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tweak this just a little bit. I'm just going to move this to the left just a little bit to favor the original key position. So then now that when I do the eyes, the away eye is here, his right eye is here, and the left eye is here, and the pupils are like this, his nose. Go backwards and test it, right? Make sure that it's not strobing. So it looks okay. All right, and then build the rest of his face, get his hairline in there. We're going to see this ear moving. We're going to see his mouth here, his cheek, his collar, his neck. His line of action is here, so his body's moving to the right. Let's go backwards and find his arm. So this needs to be defined just a little bit more. It needs that cuff that we drew in there. Now when we go to this position, we can see this cuff. This is weird. So this was his belly in this drawing. Now his belly's just moving backwards a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to favor that arm position too. I'm going to keep the arm out. I'm going to drag the arm. And I'm going to favor this arm too. So it's only, this body is only drifting to the right just a little bit. His waist is drifting to the right. All right, go backwards, forwards. So get his hair in there. Remember, it's going down. And then it's full down in this position here. All right, and now I can turn our onion skin down just a little bit. And we can see our drawing a little more clearly. So this is the key position. This is the in-between we just did. And the other one we just finished a moment ago. Looks like his hair needs to be a little more volume there. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to see the timing of this drawing and this drawing. So I've got them on 2s so that I'll be able to see them more visually. Let's go to our first frame and test this. All right, so they're passing through these positions just too fast. So I'm going to put this on 4s. I'm going to put this on 4s. And I'm going to put this on 4s as well. And so what that does is give an even set of timing through this position, the fully down, this is technical key position, and the in-between, in-between, in-between. So now let's see if that makes this head turn smoother. Okay, I think now that it's smooth, what I want to do is I want to favor this position by adding 2 more frames to it. And I want to favor this position by adding 2 more frames to it. And what that does is it speeds this up. It speeds this drawing up. So let's see if we can see that down drawing sped up a little bit. All right, so now we can see it sped up. Let's take this drawing back down. And remember what we're doing here is I'm going to put this on 4s. I'm going to put this on 2s. So this should just be a passing drawing. Even though this is a breakdown drawing with an underline underneath it, it's technically just a passing drawing. We're passing through it. All right, I have to pay more attention. I was blinking or something. One more time. All right, it looks okay. This timing looks good to begin with. What I would look at in a timeline here is variation of timing. So right now with this squash, we have it on for 4, and this stretch, we have it on for 4, and then the recoil on 4, and then the final ease into this is holding for 32 frames. What I would like to do is take this down to 2s and see if we can still get this to read. You know, this is an important key drawing for us. It's goofy, it's fun. You know, the eyebrows are way up here. It's lovely, but I want to make sure that it reads in terms of timing correctly. So we're going to be looking for this drawing now. I'm going to turn the loop off. I've forgotten where my loop is. Where's my loop? All right, okay. What did I do? I obliterated my drawing. All right, so that timing looks okay. What I would do is just like I had done with my animation class for the academy, was look, I'm just going to render a quick movie and look at it. This is just going to be take 1. And it's going to go to the desktop. So let's just take a look at this outside of the project so that we can just look at it without looping it. Okay. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to throw this away. I don't want this. All right, so the next thing that I think that he would need is we need to decide whether he's going to do any other acting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one more drawing at the end down here, and I'm going to take this drawing down to just 4s or something, just to start with. And I'm going to come out of my timeline a little bit. Now for this drawing here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat just a little bit. I'm going to copy this frame, and I'm going to paste it right here. And I'm going to then take this arm, and I'm going to start bringing this arm up. So I'm kind of looking at the number of positions. I want to position here, here, and here. For this drawing, I'm just going to start bringing his arm up a little bit. And I want the arm is going to be like this. So this one, the arm is just going to be like this. He's going to be dragging his thumb just a little bit. All right, and then this is the cuff. This is the cuff of his shirt. And I'm going to erase these guys here because I just know where it's going to go. And then I'm going to add a drawing afterwards. And I'm going to paste this again. And now I'm going to look at my onion skin, and I'm going to bring this arm up a little bit more. Just draw it like a paw or something, just to get the rough going. Add a drawing. We're on 4s. Now it's moving a little faster. And one more. Paste. And this is our kind of like our final key position here, where he's just kind of grabbing his head. What the hell just happened, right? Go backwards, figure out where the cuff is, right? Oh, I did that backwards. It should be this way. Forwards. All right, so this, I want this frame to last 16 frames, 16 frames. I'm going to save this. Let's look at this action of just the arm now. Oh. Okay, so now that we've kind of got the whole thing wrangled here a little bit. This is kind of where I would like you to be next week. Just really rough. Get your timing set so you're mixing 1s and 2s and 4s and 8s and 16s, that kind of thing. So that what you're looking at is performance. What I'm looking at is the total timing of this. Okay, good. So now what I want at the end, and this is the problem with many beginning shots, is that people forget to do this. So I'm at a drawing at the end, and I'm going to take this down to just 1 frame, and I'm going to let's see if I can paint the whole frame. All right, so that is just for 1 frame. That ends my shot. So now when I play it, oh, now it's looping. I don't want it to loop. Is this my loop button? I forgot where my loop button is. Somebody remind me. All right, let's do the old-fashioned thing here. Let's export video. It's gonna, oh, hold on. So I want this to be take 2. And if it was take 1, it would override the other one. That would be fine. So now let's look at the QuickTime movie. And it's going to end on black. And the reason why it's going to end on black is because we don't want to end on a frame where he would still be acting. So when we play it, what? Huh? And then it ends. In a cartoon, it would cut to the next shot. But ending on black is a really great way to make sure that we're not going to look at this frame too long. So it encapsulates the shot. We look at the guy standing there, he looks over, he does his reaction, he does a little action with his hand, and it ends. We're not stuck looking at this frame forever and ever and ever. So there's a big logic to using an ending frame like this. Okay. So right now, a couple of things. We animated the form. I would like to emphasize a couple of things, that this is the down position on the head turn. So make sure that when your head is turning, heads always turn and they always move on an arc. Don't just move your head sideways. It's not going to be as nice. It's not going to be as precise either. Eyes should always blink on a head turn. Always, always, always. I'm favoring opened eyes on the in-between from the first key position to the mid position where the blink is, and then favoring the blink again to the open position, which pops his eyes open when he's finally looking at something. And you can kind of create a little narrative in your mind about what is actually going on here. And then he starts to lean forward. And then this would need a progression. Remember, we got this here. This could all be broken up onto 4s, where his eyes are squinting and getting more narrow, going from this shot, this keyframe to this keyframe over the course of 27 frames. On 2s would be like 12 drawings or 8 drawings on 4s. Four drawings on 4s. All right, and then remember the squash. He's always blinking on a squash. Always, always, always blinking on the squash, which is the anticipation. And then the stretch immediately follows it, and you're overshooting the final position. Your eyebrows are always way up off the head. Your pupils are really little. We have this set on 2s. Sometimes animators like to get this to read on 1s. In this right here, we could even make an adjustment just right on the board that I'm going to fix his arms so that the arms are down and straight, and that the body is visible now too, so that there's a break of negative space for the background, so that I can see the arm and the body. The way I had it just a moment ago, there was no break right there. It's a better drawing. Here, I think the cuff would be down further because it's stretching. In the commercial world, you would probably need an in-between between this and this. Sometimes it's called a recoil, it's called a settle. You're gonna go from the overshoot, you're gonna settle into the main key. This is a partial settle. This is the full settle. You might want to take a few drawings in here. We can go over that next week. And then I'm just putting in a little peripheral animation of his hand rising and ending on a black frame. Save your project. Okay, everyone get the idea? And even when it's looping like this, that little flash of the black frame right there reads in your eye, hopefully it reads in your eye that that was the end of the shot. If you needed to, and you wanted to make it even more pronounced, just give it 4 frames so that it reads a lot, right? He's leaning forward. What? That's your reaction. He could even scratch his head up there. 4 frames because this is 5 seconds of animation, but you're only doing keys and a few breakdowns and a couple in-betweens so that you get the dynamic of the squash and stretch. All right, save your project. And just the rough would be due next week, and we'll go over the timing for you next week. I'll draw for you, I'll give you suggestions, and then I'll take the same file here and I'll show you how to rub it down, how to clean it up a little bit. It's easy as long as you've got the dynamics correct. Then rubbing it down and cleaning it up, whatever you want to call it. It's the fun part. This is the thinking part right here. Again, I'd just like to reiterate, you need at least 8 frames here. I have 24 frames on the first frame where there's really nothing happening. One thing that you could do here is you could just have him blink. So if I go like this and I say, I'm just going to take this drawing right here, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to say, I want a drawing after this drawing. And I'm going to take this drawing, which was 24, down to like 12. I'm going to take this down to 2. I'm going to add a drawing after. I'm going to paste the same exact key that we had right over it. And then this was on 4, it was a total of 24. So I have 12 plus 2 is 14 plus, oops, hold on. Plus 10 is 24. So in this frame, I copy the same drawing and then I'm going to erase the eyes. Now, Richard Williams goes on and on and on in his textbook about how all blinks should be 10 or 12 frame blinks. But I don't think it's necessary. I think that you just learn that he's going to blink, and this is just going to be a softer blink. It's going to be a fast 2-frame blink. And blinks can happen at any number of different frames. This is a really quick, this is a very alert blink. Save it and watch. So watch that first blink, right? And that could be anywhere. It doesn't need to be in the middle of this key. I just put it there. But that's a nice, when a character blinks, that means they're alive. If anything blinks, that means it's alive. If a character's eyes are moving around, like here, that could be a thing. Instead of doing anything here in terms of animation, right? And then you could just have his eyes look, what the hell did I just look at? And you could do little eye darts, but we'll go over that next week. All right, so blinking is good. Blinking keeps your character alive. Save your project. Oops, did it again. Blink. Yeah, it might be fun to have his eyes darting around right there. We'll talk about that next week. All right, everyone okay? 5 new messages. I'm sorry, everybody. Yep, that's how you do this. That's how it's done. You're adding squash and stretch to character animation. And what we did right there is a medium to really heavy cartoon take. You can react to, like, Hannah's going to tell me something like, what? And you can see people in real life doing this. You can say, what? And whenever they have a reaction, their head always goes up. That's the main action. What? Because you're opening your mouth. What? What? Jim Carrey is a very cartoon actor. He does cartoon takes all the time. In fact, he overdoes it half the time. Where Robin Williams didn't. Robin Williams was very calm with his body, but his voice was all over the place. He acted with his voice. But Jim Carrey's like very comedic. Who's the guy who played Kramer in Seinfeld? Michael Richards, a very physical actor. And he'll do cartoon takes like that. So now we're starting to get in that little bit of acting record. This is a 2-week project. I wanted to share with you, I don't know if I can actually do this right now, but there was a thing I saw on Imgur, or maybe it was Pinterest, and I can't get into Pinterest right now because I'm locked out of it. But there was an actor who was talking about playing a role, and he was playing a crazy guy, and he was supposed to be attacking someone with a stick or an axe or something. And he had said, boy, you know, he got compliments that his performance is just really great on that particular thing, the particular shot that he did. And how'd you do that? You know, it just came from out of nowhere. I mean, did you build yourself up? Did you rile yourself up for the shot and take that stick and just really kind of method act it? And he said, well, you know, I kind of was channeling, I can't remember his name, Tom Cruise, because he had seen Tom Cruise on the David Letterman show. And Tom Cruise was just announcing that he was getting married to Catherine, whatever that actress's name was, I can't remember, Katie Holmes. And he was riffing with Dave, and he was, and Tom Cruise was like laughing. He was like, oh, he was way over animated than he would ever be. And the actor said, well, I channeled that because he was laughing on the outside, but you couldn't see anything behind his eyes. It was like this weird thing where an actor really perceives what's going on the screen with the eyes. It's all about the eyes, blinking, looking, eye darting. We'll get into that a little bit more next week. But for this is the physical, mechanical part of getting a reaction. And follow my thing, either do it the way I've shown it for you, or do it backwards where he's looking to the right, or use your character. You can use any kind of character that you want. And remember that this is due in 2 weeks. Even though I assigned points to this next week, I will give you those points, but this is just progress. This is not supposed to be done until 2 weeks from now. And then according to my notes, yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to let this roll for 2 weeks, and then we're going to do our final project, which in a class like this, it's very typical, very standard to do a run, catch, and jump in any order that you want. Jump, run, catch, run, you know, so we'll talk about that. That'll be your final. And I know you will all enjoy that. It'll be me just saying, okay, here's how you do it. Go in and then sit back in the background and just let you all have fun with it. And that is key. The whole idea of animating is to have fun with it. So, you know, keep your drawings loose, keep them rough, and make sure you're following your arcs. Head turns always happen on an arc, and follow those little mechanics I gave you for blinking and squashing and stretching and counteraction. And this is just, half of it's due next week. Just the rough animation is due next week. Okay, questions, comments, complaints, conundrums, criticisms?
I couldn't find the Zoom recording from last week. I was wondering if you posted it.
It's possible that I didn't. I will make a note, and I don't think I threw it away. So that was from April. Oh no, I closed my calendar. Hold on a second.
It's on YouTube, but you didn't link it to Canvas.
It is on YouTube, but I didn't put it in Canvas.
Yeah, it's on the same.
It's on my channel.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know what? I will put it in the class. I'm sorry. At least you can discover where I live and come and beat me with a stick.
Okay.
Yeah, I will put both of those up here within the hour. So that one was from the 14th. Okay. And again, you can just find it by looking at the channel. All right, we'll see you next week. Email me at my Yahoo if you need anything.
All right, take care, Billy.
All right, ciao for now. Make it awesome, everybody. Play with your timing.
Thank you.
Play with your timing.
Thank you.
Play, have fun with it.